Computer. Hi everyone, my name is Trudy King and welcome to Thoughts. So today we're talking to the brilliant, the beautiful, the excellent Tammy Gammon from Three Dream Designs. Thank you so much, Tammy, for coming. And before I get Tammy to introduce herself, Thoughts is just a chat session that we have with individuals that we've highlighted to get their thoughts and opinions, hints and tips around a few pertinent topics, especially during this pandemic. So you will hear a lot from Tammy today. You will hear a lot from other people that we will talk to. But today our focus is on Tammy Gammon from Three Dream Designs. Hi, Tammy, and welcome to Thoughts.
Thank you, Trudy. Thank you so much for having me and thinking of me to be a part of such an amazing journey and cause that you're a part of. Three Dream Designs is a true birth of mine. I have three sons, and they're the reason for the Three Dream Designs. It was, how do I put together things that I love, whether it be livable, wearable art, and then just life in itself. And Three Dream Designs was born from that. Actually, this is our 8th anniversary. February of 2013 is when we were born. And this was a true passion journey for me. At the time, my grandmother was sick and I was a principal for an elementary school. And I was transitioning because of everything that was going on with her and needed something to cope during that time. And art became the thing that I could use as a coping mechanism, as well as a way to express myself. Subsequently, she passed, and then I moved back to Atlanta because at the time I was in Florida. But a little bit about myself before I get into the journey of Three Dream Designs.
Okay.
So I am Tammy Gammon, owner and the CEO of Three Dream Designs, as well as Trey Hats, and of course, Tam Gam Foundation. I am a proud Jamaican, born and raised in Jamaica.
Cape Town represent.
Jamaica. And like Trudy, I am a Wolmerian, so I get caught a guess.
I get caught a guess.
I get caught a guess all the way. I moved to the United States in 1995, where I pursued my degree. Initially, it was in accounting, and then I changed to English and graduated in the year 2000. So this is my 21st year anniversary of graduating my undergrad. Woo! Time flies when you're having fun. So I became an educator. I became an English teacher. I became a director of admissions for 2 prominent universities. I then went on to become a principal, COO, and CFO for organizations. That in itself was a challenge, raising 3 sons. I do have a special needs son. I have twin boys who were born prematurely. They are now 16 years old. So hence, I know, growth.
Yeah, well done to you.
Listen, it's a daily task in raising children. It's very hard. It's something that people take lightly, but it's not an easy task at times because you have to instill certain things in them and allow them to grow and be the people that they want to be, and not enforce your thoughts and beliefs where it comes to certain things. Of course, manners and everything is built into it.
Definitely.
But allowing them to be individuals, because they are twins. And then I have a 12-year-old as well. So a part of shattering the glass ceiling, when I finished doing all those things I wanted to do in corporate America, I wanted something for myself. I wanted to do something that embodied who I was as an individual, as a woman of color, and an Afro-Caribbean woman.
Tammy, can I just stop you there?
Sure.
Because as you're talking, there were several things that were coming out. When you said you wanted to do something for yourself, but surely if you've gone to school, surely if you have been a CFO, and surely, I mean, you've accomplished. So what do you mean, like you want to do something for yourself?
Growing up in the Caribbean, as you know, and with parents that we have.
Yes.
My mother said, and she was going to kill me for this, no child of mine will become an artist, and I want to become a hairdresser and an artist.
Okay, when we were in high school. We need both.
And my mother said, no way. There is no way my child is going to do that. My stepfather was very much a proponent for education and furthering yourself and not taking no for an answer, where it came to breaking and shattering those things that were aligned for us as women to become certain things.
Right.
So he was a business owner. So I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. I remember washing hair in my mother's back room, in high school. The guys would come over and I'd charge them $5 to wash their hair and groom them. And I was selling jewelry in high school and did all those different things. And I'm hoping you're going to talk to Nydia at some point in time. But I remember Nydia and I selling shoes and doing these different things when I was in undergrad. And it was always an entrepreneurial spirit. So to answer your question, yes, I fulfilled all those things that society said was okay for me to do. And did those things that most people would want to have, and it was their dream and everything else. And I think that dream, yes, it was mine to be the best that I could be. However, I think more so it was my parents making them proud at the time.
Right.
It was living up to those societal labels that we have. My grandmother was a lecturer at the University of the West Indies. My other grandmother worked for a prestigious insurance company. They did all those things. So they broke ceilings before I was even thought of. So it was that trend that you had to live up to those expectations. Many of my aunts were accomplished in whatever they did. So that pressure, being the firstborn child, firstborn grandchild, all those different things, you then say, you know what, I have to do this. So for 20 years of my life, I spent doing that. I spent, of course, doing things that they want me to do, but also those accomplishments that I needed to have professionally in order to get to where I wanted to, and to feed my children, to be honest with you, to make sure that my children were okay. But there was always a part of me that wanted to do something just for me, that I was the head of, that I do from the ground up.
Yes.
I remember Miss Gaskin teaching us how to do home ec and putting those things together. And Mrs. Dunn, who taught me art.
Yes.
I remember how hard she was. And I'm like, why is this woman so hard on me? But she saw something that I didn't see. And I gave up on that dream for a while because my parents said I couldn't be that artist. And I remember putting that aside. But even when I was teaching, I remember teaching English, but I also taught drama. I was doing set designs in 2001, 2002 for my arts and for my students. I couldn't teach art because I wasn't skilled to teach art at that time, or so I thought. So it becomes, at what point do you live for you? And I think
there are two things I'm taking away from this. That one, even though in the society we're from, you have to either be so clear, doctor, lawyer, Indian, or chief. Yes. One of them, nothing else matters. But now hearing you realize that these things are important to get to where you want to go, but as well, it's important not to forget your original love from your heart, that gift, that natural gift and ability that you have. And I remember clearly, because clearly we were in art class together, and there was a green bottle, and I think the gentleman, what's his name, Mr. Watson, I think?
Mr. Watson, yes.
Mr. Watson said, draw this bottle. Now, this girl cannot draw for no reason. There is no reason that I can draw for. I am a stick person. Oh, they say that there is the sizes. I am such a stick person, stick everybody. Now I'm going to put a little fat.
Look at stick figures behind me.
Exactly.
Look at stick figures behind me.
I remember the bottle. I remember seeing the green bottle, and I drew the bottle. It was so wonky and so terrible. And I was drawing the perfect bottle. And then he walked past and said, girl, what's that? And I said, my bottle. And then I looked over at you. I think you were very near, and some other girls were very near to me. And I looked and I saw your bottle, and it had a little light shade of green and a darker shade of green. And I'm thinking, hey, what's happening over there? Where did they see that? And life is funny, because I thought my bottle was perfect when you guys had the perfect bottle. And he said, don't you see this? Don't you see that? See, they can see that. And I started looking around the class, and I said, that's when I knew the girls in the class who could draw. I said, these girls know what they're doing. Me, let me take a back seat. I simply don't know what I'm doing. And that's when I recognized that you, Tammy, could draw. That's when I realized the other girls in the class who were artistic. And I think if there's a takeaway from it, is to tell parents that, if your child has a natural ability, try and, nurture that natural ability, even though you want them to still be a doctor, lawyer, Indian, and chief. Make their natural ability a hobby then that they're practicing, and after a while practice becomes perfect. So it's just something to take away. So it's really, really nice and important that you're able to move from honoring your parents and what's normally cultural, and then finding you.
Yes.
But there are a lot of things in it, because you are CFO, you were doing all of these things. You are Black. You are now, even though the women before you had blazed and trail, you are in your own person now trying to blaze the trail. How did you, as a Black person, and especially a Black person in the United States, so your accent is different, how did you go about, doing that, one, and two, what was that light bulb moment? Well, let's go with how did you go about that, and how did you manage to get past all those people? She's
I
not
think that not like
not
us,
from
exactly.
here, and
And you get that a lot. Having now lived here for 26 years, for me, it was always our motto, only your best is good enough. So
Yes.
I always gave 100%. No matter what I was doing, what field I was, I made sure that I was either number one or in the top 10. That was always my thing that I had to do. So when I worked at DeVry University, I rose from admissions advisor to an assistant director to associate director to director of admissions. And I made sure that every role I was in, even as an advisor, that I was trying to be the best and that I lived the rite of passage where I took care of my customers, made sure that all of my students felt that they were number one. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just, okay, I'm going to do this job and I'm going to sell and I'm going to do all these different things. Right. It was making it a human focus. And that's what I've always done throughout my career. And that was my greatest success in breaking into things. And many times people didn't know that I was a woman of color because they never saw me. All they communicated with me was through emails. Right. And sometimes they may speak to me on the phone, but even then they didn't know that I was a woman of color until they saw me in person. So and I'm okay.
It's what I'm getting from you, Tammy, is that spirit of excellence. I mean,
always.
We don't want to mar the interview, but we did go to a good school. Yeah.
We did.
Yeah, we don't want to be biased. I know. We don't want to brag.
We don't.
Kind of. And shout out to everybody who's gone to any school that you've gone to. Well done to you. Thank you very much. Well done to you too. But that spirit of excellence, it's important that whatever you do, because you've just stated that you started out from at the admin department and you didn't think that was less than you, but you did your job with excellence. And it's really important. So doesn't matter who you are, to do an excellent job, because it will then eventually take you to where you are. Basically. Yes. So now you've mastered corporate, and then you've moved, you had a light bulb moment and you wanted to go into fulfilling your own personal dream, with art. How did that happen? How did that happen for you?
I think, even when I was in corporate, I started to transition because this started 8 years ago. As I said, I started the process while I was working to kind of test out the waters. I didn't fully go into true entrepreneurship, and just do that alone at that time. I had to take small steps. And those small steps came now 6 years ago when I started hand-painted earrings, because I wanted to look something that looked different. I didn't want to look like everybody else. And I've always been like that. I'm just like, I don't want to wear the same thing everybody's wearing. I don't want to look like everybody else looks. I remember in high school cutting my hair off like this. Everybody had long hair and everything else, because I don't want to fit in. Right. I don't want to be cookie cutter. So I took that as I wanted something very different for me to wear. And it became, where did you get those earrings? Oh, I made them. Where did you get those bags? I made it. Where did you get the jacket? Because I hand painted jackets a long time ago. Yeah. It's always that thing. And when people, I'm like, oh, well, people want these things. Obviously, they look like something that they would want to wear. Why not scale it up? And I started the scaling process, where I was known for hand painted earrings. I was known for those small, intricate things that I would do. I did small paintings at the time. And initially, my Wilmerian sisters, a few of them have some of the early pieces that I did when I was just starting out, because I wanted to express myself, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to be all out there yet. Right. So the light bulb moment really came when people were requesting these things and they were willing to pay what I asked for a painting, for a bag, and different things like that. Right. So over the years, it grew to what it has become today. And it really didn't explode until last year, June. And we can kind of get into that, where, you know, really last year, January is when I started the process of putting together a line for a bridal show I was going to do with Jamaica Tourist Board. And I was preparing for that, and then COVID hit. Prior to that, I had done great things. I had presented to the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Oliver Samuels, Oliver Mir, who is our Consul General. So I've had those connections with those prominent Jamaicans, people, living legends, different things like that. And even then, the accomplishment was there, but it wasn't really, I wanted to break out outside of the Caribbean and be mainstream, lack of a better word, where I was worldwide. And in January, that would have given me the opportunity, but then COVID hit. My house caught on fire January 20th of 2020. And I lost paintings, lost the clothing line, lost all those different things. And I said, how do I start over from this? So I'm in my hotel room and I'm sketching and I'm painting earrings because this is now my bread and butter. Like I've gone through entrepreneur, everything is embedded in this. And my things are either in storage or burnt up, gone, can't be salvaged. And I had to pick myself up literally and figuratively and say, you have to continue. You have to go on with this line that you want. It was on my vision board. I was very clear about how much money I wanted to make, what products I wanted to launch, how many pieces. I was very, very, very specific. And I said, I cannot allow this thing, though it's very big, determine or shatter my dreams, because I'd worked hard to get to this point in time. On June 12th of 2020, I was going to launch my line on June 15th. I had $2.30 left in my account because I had poured back everything that I had into the new line that I was going to do to create a series of hand-painted handbags. I did 50 of those handbags, and with 2 days, I was sold out, gone. Everything.
So you're moving from $2 and some cents. Right. So can I just stop you there? Can I just have that conversation with you, right? So you're Tammy, welcome to my world for 2020 with COVID. Yeah. Welcome to my world.
You know it all too well.
I don't know when the first lockdown happened. I'm not sure. I don't think any liquid was left in me when I started crying of all the things I had planned for 2020. And so it was, as you know, here at ECAF, we do courses. We deliver a range of courses: first aid for mental health awareness courses. We do family relationship courses. We do personal development courses. And one of the things that really made us want to talk to you is the fact that you persevered. You somehow managed with a fire at your house, COVID now looking to stop what you want to do. And the thing and for me, when I looked at it, was the fact that you had worked so hard over the years. You had worked so hard in corporate, and now you've worked so hard to this one moment. And to be honest, if you look at that, if you step back and look at stuff like that, it's stressful. It's stressful. It would make anybody feel down. And you're a mom, so your kids are looking to you as well. And you're looking, this is what you wanted to do. You finally think, I'm getting there for me. So how were you able to take care of your mental health from corporate to June of last year? What is it? What made you get there in the end?
It's not allowing my sons to see me break, because if I broke, they were going to break at the time. And we were in a 1-bedroom with all of us in that 1-bedroom. The kids were on beds. I was in a pull-out couch. So for 2 months, I slept on a pull-out couch in a hotel room. And what got me through was, and I'll kind of show you, was my little drawings that I would do, and I'd paint them in, and I'd do these different things. And I was still sending them out to people. So despite what I was going through, there were a lot of people who were going through those things at the same time. And it's, how do I not look at what other people, some people have it worse than I do. At least I had a roof over my head. Some people didn't have that. Some people were losing people during the time. I still had my family. I hadn't lost anybody yet until March 10th, my grandfather, he died in February and we buried him in March. I hadn't lost anybody yet during the pandemic. I don't have anything to complain about. Right. And even when I lost him, it was, you know what, it was God's time to take him. He had served his time. He was 90 something years old at the time. But how did I survive? It was writing things down, being mindful of my surroundings and being grateful. You know, I use the mantra, and I have it here, you know, she believed. It was kind of, I believed in myself, and I had to constantly surround myself. So I only had 10 pieces of clothes when I left the fire, right? And most of my clothes that I did have was my merchandise. So I would wear my She Believe shirts 2 or 3 times for the week, and that was gonna be it. And you know, you continue to do that. And I had to believe in myself. I had to say, you know what, Tammy, despite what you're going through, you just have to, kids have to eat, you have to eat, bills still have to be paid, even though there's a fire going on, and your house is, you still have car payments to pay. So I had to pull myself up on the bootstraps and say, you know what, white squall might lick you 1 or 2 days, but you just have to keep it going. And it's not about perception and keeping up with the Joneses at that point in time. It's just trying to be grateful. I think gratitude was a big thing for me during that time, because at least we had one guaranteed meal, was downstairs in the lobby at the hotel. The lobby staff became our family, our friends, because they knew the kids were there. If I had to step out, whatever it was, the twins are old enough. My youngest son then transitioned to be with his dad because there was enough space for all of us to be in the hotel room. There are different things I had to lose that, you know, and it was hard. It was never easy. I will like to tell you that it was an easy transition to have. I'd write things down in my book. I have little journals that I have, and this is one of the things, but it's being a mindful journal that I sometimes do, or I do my journaling through painting I have another journal, which is just art. But that's how I got through it, was continuously doing that and rebuilding the collection that you see today. Whether it be the dresses to the artwork to everything else, is pouring myself into that.
Perfect. And that is perfect. So our takeaway then is, you know, being mindful, finding something that you like and doing that, channeling your energies into that, to help you during that stressful time. Because, you know, it is stressful. It is stressful, and especially when life is stressful when you're by yourself, and then when children are added to it, it you know, then you know you're the provider for the children. It can be very stressful. So I'm glad you were able to formulate, and that's why we're doing thoughts, because there is a lady out there, a mom out there, you know, who's probably going through something similar and wanting. So how do I push past this? This is now, you know, we're full blown into the pandemic, and you are soaring. You are soaring. How? So that's what you did to get to June. Then you started soaring. What do you do now to keep your mental health?
What do I know? I have to talk through it. I think my biggest thing now, it's having lived it. And I will tell you this, and be very transparent. In December was my lowest point in 2020. When December 8th, when I returned from Florida from doing all my tours and doing all these different things I was doing, I came back home to Atlanta on December 8th. And I said, December 15th, I was going to shut down because I was tired. I was mentally, emotionally, and physically just drained. And you don't understand how drained or how tired or how exhausted you are until you stop. And that was one of the things that I feared, to be quite honest with you, was that stop point, because was I ever going to recover from it? And I remember when December 15th come, and I said, this is a hard pause, a stop for me right now. I had to take a break. My body was still in recovery. I had surgery December. I'm still not fully healed from that surgery. I've had, you know, different things that go on, and my health was taking a back seat because I was so focused on keeping the momentum of the business going, keeping in, you know, in the spotlight, and making sure that people saw that I was doing things and keeping up with that. That I broke. I literally broke, because that weight that we hold on to as women, as entrepreneurs, as mothers, that we put all this burden on ourselves, and we don't realize that if we're not okay, the family unit is not okay, the business is not okay. So mentally, physically, emotionally, I shut off from the world for probably about a good week. Didn't communicate on social media, didn't do anything else. I just had to take time for me to reset me and what it is that I needed and wanted during that time. And I just slept. I was in the bed, didn't come out of my room some days because I was just tired. I was tired of doing and having to get up every day and show up. I had to show up for myself during that time. And, you know, as you go through these different things, we are taught to be these strong, resilient women. We are taught that we are Wonder Woman and we are the Superwoman and we have to carry this load. But that's not what we should be taught. We should be taught that we need to balance things and not just put this big rock on top. Is that there has to be a foundation. And as we create this foundation and be mindful of who we are as women, that we can then be stronger. And it's not a physical stronger or a power struggle, but how do we support our mental health, which is very important because we're not taught to do that. And you know, in our culture, is suck it up, it's all right.
No problem. No problem.
No, man, I'm
no
okay.
sign of a problem.
Okay. And
one of the things I wanted to say that you said, Tammy, was because there's this idea that, you know, especially if you're Black, a woman of color, you're strong, you know, so you don't get to get off days, and that's not human. That's not human because you face the same kinds of things that other people face. So if they can get off days, and I'm actually really glad that you're saying it out loud, that you decided to turn up for you. So, and especially if you're an educated, it doesn't, as a matter of fact, it doesn't even matter what kind of woman of color you are. You're supposed to be just turn up, singing and dancing and the whole circus act, you know, presenting if you are in corporate, you're over presenting you have to get there before everybody else. And then nobody realized that probably you're not feeling so great. You want to cry too. You are not feeling so strong. And the idea, you're correct that, you know, we don't have to turn up for some things and everything. You just can say, I'm taking a moment here for myself. And it doesn't mean that anything is wrong with me. I haven't gone mad. I am just relaxing. I'm regenerating, getting reinvigorated. You know, making sure that I take care of me, that I can come back in the stronger that they want you to be. And so that's really, really important, really, really important. So you took your time out to sleep, to have a good rest, to relax, to turn up for you. And then what?
And then then, to be honest, it continued. Then what happened was setting, and again, a moment of transparency. I'm going through menopause. I had cervical cancer, so therefore I had to have a hysterectomy. And so therefore my hormonal balance is not balanced. There is no hormonal balance. So having to go through that, and that's another thing we don't talk about. We don't talk about what happens to a woman's body when there are changes that happen. We don't talk about how women go through these changes.
But we're happy that you got through it, though, Tammy. We're so grateful.
Yeah. So I'm here. And that's the thing about it. So that continued. So what happened is that come my birthday, I said, you know what? It's time for me to pull myself together, which was January 9th. I had to pull myself back together. How do I get myself back to do it? And it was about this mindfulness series that I was trying to figure out, you know, the colors that I was going to be using for the new line. What was I going to be, how intentional was I going to be about putting out products that I was proud of and that made me feel happy? And it became, you know, the dancers that you see behind there. I've had a series for a while, but I continued with this trilogy. And it goes back to mind, body, and soul. It goes back to how do we heal ourselves, and how I heal myself was through painting those different series of women. There are 3 of them. I'll show you another one that's kind of there.
What we will do, Tammy, is, because I'm really glad that we actually started connecting during your whole mindful, creating your whole mindful piece. So when we're finished, everybody who's watching, who they will like, share, and subscribe, but we'll put all the details about what you're doing and where to find your art and everything around mindfulness work that you've created and everything else down in the link, so they can contact you, they can, buy, they can share it, they can tell people about you.
Awesome. I really appreciate that. But that has been what has helped me in the last month now. It's now been almost a month since I went back into the series and started painting again. And, in painting, it's a whole different feeling, a vibe, the emotion that comes out. I'm happy. I'm very happy when I'm painting. I'm happy when I'm drawing. I'm happy when I'm designing, because I'm not only an artist, I'm a designer as well. I design clothing. Yeah. I have 65 different products that I produce. And in doing so, it takes a lot, but that's my happy place. That's the happy place. Perfect. So what I could tell people is find that happy place, that thing that makes you happy, that makes you want to get up in the morning, that makes you want to go, that makes you want to keep living, because we have to keep living. Yes. Because yes, you don't only live once, you live every day. It's not, people always say YOLO. You live every day. It's every not day. Just once that you live. Yes. You take chances and you take that time to better yourself and to make yourself feel good, because happiness is a thing that's internal. Nobody else can help your happiness. Nobody else can create that space for you. You have to create that space. You have to create that wonderland and whatever you want to call it, but it's yours. It has to be yours and nobody else. Nobody understands that vision. Nobody understands anything for you. It has to be something that's done by you.
And it has to be, and one of the things I'm getting from it has to be done. It can't be in your thought, because you spoke about having a vision board. Mm-hmm. It can't be, they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. It can't be, I want to do that, and then you go to your grave having all this gift and ability and not even make the first step. So what we're trying to say to that lady who's watching, that young girl or that gentleman, make a step. You have a natural gift and ability, make a step, 1 foot forward. 1 foot forward and keep going, and finding stuff like you, where you were good at journaling, you were good at knowing what makes you happy, and you were feeding into that during a bad time, and even using it to get out of that bad time to an even better place. So we're really, really thankful for that. But you did mention the fact that, while you're a mom, you're an entrepreneur, and everybody knows, whoever runs a business, knows that, okay, try working for people. Excellent. Try running a business. Realize how difficult, because you're the accountant, you're the CEO, you're the admin when it starts off, and it's you when you work in corporate, you have a whole policy department, you have a whole accounting team, you're the policy department, you're the everything. So I'm just thinking,
you're in the middle of the night,
everything, and you work longer hours too, because you're like, got to jump on, I've got to get the website finished, I've got to get this done, I've got to get that done. So you're a mom, you're an entrepreneur, your business is now taking off, but you have children. And how do you balance your life? How do you take care of the mental health? Because you mentioned something earlier about ensuring that your children be who they should be, not who really you want them to be. I mean, you are guiding them, right? But they're individuals. How do you then ensure that they are okay?
It's doing those check-ins with them. I have teenagers. So, whoa, boy, I remember my teenagers, but going back to, they're in their own space right now. They're exploring, they're growing, and their minds are different than they were 2 years ago. So they have thoughts, and I encourage them to speak up and talk to me about certain things. And if they don't agree with something, then why don't you agree with it? Right. It's not that thing where we were taught not to be heard. Speak when you're spoken to. Yes, to an extent, but I want my sons to say, hey, I don't agree with me having to do X, Y, Z on these 2 days. Why? Why don't you think that? Or giving them the opportunity to say, before we came on live, was one asking me about the grocery and stuff. I said, well, you go ahead and create a list. You go ahead and order the stuff then, if this is what needs to be done. Don't come to me and tell me, oh, I want so-and-so. It's okay, you want it, then you put it in the grocery basket because we do online because of the pandemic. and then you consult me, when it's time to pay, and we can talk about these different things. But it's teaching that independence to them, because 2 years from now, they'll be going to college, they're going to university in 2 years.
And they're going to be
I won't be
crying.
there.
You're going to be like, oh, my babies have left home.
Listen,
we will be there
I've
with the
been
tissues,
crying
Tammy.
for a couple
We will have the
days.
tissues for you ready. Don't worry. We've got your back. We've got you. We've got this. We've got this. We will have the tissues ready for
I'll
you.
cry. And then I'll be celebrating. I'll be like, woo, but it's teaching independence and going back. They're twins, so they have 2 separate paths that they will go on. One will be playing wheelchair basketball, and one has to make a decision: will he go to the Army or the Air Force, or go to university? There are different options that they have, but it's allowing them to make those decisions. It's this laissez-faire, I guess, mentality that I have right now, because we were raised so strict and so stressed out, and not saying it's a bad thing how we were raised. We turned out okay. However, I would have wanted to do things a little bit differently, So allow them to try new things, to experience new things, to fail. Allow them to fail, because I think that's one of the biggest things that we were not allowed to do. We were never allowed to fail.
So you don't really build your resilience.
And that's it.
Yeah. But one of the things I personally, Tammy, I'm really, really proud of you for, is that you mentioned that you have a special need child. And that in itself can take a mental toll on you as a mom and on a child. But every single step of the way, you seem to be right there. You're just right there with him. You're just right there supporting him. Everything that surrounds him, you're there, and you're actually proud of your child, because I have known parents who are so ashamed. They think it's the end of the world. But you're like, this is my child. I'm wearing my flag. I'm waving it high. And in terms of how, what's your hints and tip for a mom with a special need child, to just get past the reality of what really has happened, what is happening, and to be in a happy place like you are? And how does your son stay in his happy place as well?
Is embrace it. Number one is embrace it, because people are like, oh no, my child, how did this happen? And that blame. I don't blame myself for anything. I had a difficult pregnancy, and I had twins, and one that 4 minutes made a difference for him. He is hearing impaired, he has cerebral palsy, and he has chronic lung disease. And from day one, I made a decision that I had to be a very involved parent. I had to be an advocate for my child. That was another thing. And not everything that's in a textbook relates to your child. You have to learn your child. You have to understand what makes that child angry, what makes that child happy, what makes that child grow, literally and figuratively grow. And it was from day one when they told me, hey, he may never walk, he may never talk. I said, I don't think so. We'll see. And I was very much, as an educator at the time, I said I was going to do all I could. And if it didn't work, then I can say, at least I tried. And that was the biggest thing. So I've always been an advocate for him. I treated him no different than his brother. Even when he was on oxygen, he was crawling around on oxygen, he was no different than his brother. And I made sure that there was that tone was always there. So he was given the same opportunities that his brother was. I adapted it sometimes to him. As he grew up, he wanted to do sports. His legs wouldn't work. So we adapted, and he went into the wheelchair, which he had to be in the wheelchair for long distances. And he developed a love for basketball, handball, and football wheelchair. So in him doing that, I had to celebrate that. And whatever cheering on I could do and be his biggest supporter, I did that. So my lesson to parents is allow them to find themselves along the way, support that joy, whatever it is, because it could be that one day that they do it, or it could be now. For me, it's 7 years since he's been doing it. I think about that right now, and he'll go on to university to do it in university, but it's keeping his hopes and dreams alive. It's not shooting him down. It's not saying you can't do this. I remember your legs don't work, so you can't go swimming. Remember, your legs don't work, so you can't go to this friend's house. No, his best friend is paralyzed from the neck down, and they have a ball. They go to the lake and they go swimming and they go hunting and they do all these different things because they don't have limits. And that's one thing I learned because of the organizations that I've been a part of for him, is that there are no limits.
There are no
Disabled
limits.
children, none. They can do Paralympics, they can do Special Olympics. There's so many different things that are out there and resources that are there for parents and children of special needs. And it's forming a community. Like, I miss my basketball moms now because we all, our children, yeah, our children have different disabilities, but we were all mothers at the end of the day. And we supported each other.
I think what's important that I'm hearing is, you know, not to understand that you didn't, that first, let me start with your son, that it's important for parents to not think of the child as broken and not tell the child and remind the child, because it's actually a person, a human being. And then for you not to beat up on yourself and be guilty that you possibly have done something wrong why this has happened. Because as I said, Tammy, I work in children's services, I work in so many different areas. I've seen it over and over and over again. And so I'm so happy because watching you and your family over the years, you just decided, listen, this is life. I might shed my tear, but I'm just gonna keep going. And it's inspirational because there are people that don't have children who are challenged, and they're struggling with their supposedly able-bodied children, and they can even understand that it's not putting limits, because you said there are no limits on your son and his friend who has a greater challenge. It's not putting limits on children, not putting limits on yourself, not putting limits on anything that you're doing. It's just, let's go for it.
Let's go for it. And that is it. And I had to teach him that. And he now has to advocate for himself, because I pulled back from doing a lot for him, because he has to mature, because he has to be more independent, because he's going off to do college visits when COVID is over. He has to do all these different things. But it's also being mindful that he sometimes may get depressed. And I constantly ask him, are you okay? And he says, yeah, I'm okay. And I can tell when his okay is not really okay. When he's trying to be, strong. But Kali and Kimari, and I commend his brother, his twin brother, for supporting him when he can. No, they're different and they're at odds sometimes.
Which sibling? Which sibling?
Exactly. Which is all siblings. But my youngest son, Justin, is very much the caretaker of Kali. He tries to do whatever he can, and sometimes Kali says, I don't want any help, and he'll be quick to tell you, don't help me, I don't want to do this. Kali is now 6'3". They're both the twins are towering over me.
Wow. So
going back to that parent who worries about things, it's gonna be hard, and they're gonna be hard days, and they're the days I've spent in hospitals, many months I've spent in the hospital. But it's just, look forward to the next day. Look forward to the day, and be present in the day that you're in, and look forward to tomorrow. Don't plan about what's going to happen 2 years from now and 3 years from now, because things change. Things change, and it can change for the better. And sometimes it doesn't change for the better, but it's about being present in that child's life and try and do the best that you can for him, and speak up when you don't agree with the doctors. Say, I don't agree with you, and that be the case. And sometimes
it's getting your voice and giving your son his own voice as well, because he knows what's happening with him. And it was another question I was going to ask you, the dynamics of your family. How is everybody adjusting to one? The fact that you're now again running a business. Are they a part of the business, not a part of the business? And then how they're adjusting to each other as siblings, and to have one sibling that has a challenge, and then COVID. How are we all keeping happy, safe, good?
They are very much a part of the business. The older two have a more integral part in the business. Kali will put packages together. Kimari will do the website or look at the different shipments that need to go out. During the summer, they were very, very, very integral in the business and the process of it. I ask opinions of them sometimes when I've painted something or I've created something. Do you like this color? Do you not like it? Sometimes they're like, yeah, and I can kind of tell, but it's including them and explaining to them.
Are they artistic? Do they draw as well?
Justin is. Only
Okay.
Justin, the youngest one. Justin
Okay.
is very, very, very good. I think the twins just don't care about art at this point in time. They like the business aspect of it,
Good.
and the logistics.
Yeah.
But artwork, yeah, no, not happening.
You know what? It just might be in their heart. One day you might just be surprised. It might just come right out.
I'm hoping and praying, but Justin, the youngest one, definitely caught the bug. He has his own little Instagram. He's doing commissions and he does the thing. So they're all entrepreneurs. I will say that because they're always selling something. So they've got that bug. They got entrepreneurial.
Mama taught them well.
So it's about setting those things up and setting up boundaries for them as well, as far as not limiting. Again, going back to that, is the boundary is you can do whatever you set your mind to. And if you continue to do it, then that's what it is. Kimari is good at gaming, and he's online. He's in top in the country with his gaming skills and abilities.
Wow.
I'll let him just do his thing.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Perfect. Well, I'm so happy to be talking to you, Tammy. You don't even know. I'm so happy. We're just going to, we're coming to an end, and I don't want it to end. Yeah. So I just want to ask you in terms of, because my next question was going to be your parenting hints and tips, but you've said it all. You've created boundaries. You feed into your children. You tell them that they're not broken. You give them stuff to do, all the good things. You reassure them. You love on them. And even if I didn't ask you these questions, I mean, it's out there for public knowledge. People can just see what you are doing. It's visible. You're not like a silent parent, and we can't see what you're doing. You're out there, and we see you're turning up, you're supporting, and you're wishing the best. And you're not only wishing the best for your own children, as you said, you're with those other moms. You're wishing the best for other people's children, which sometimes can be very difficult for some people. They're all about just their kids, but you're with other people's children. So we know what you're doing in terms of that. So we just have a few more questions we want to ask you in terms of personal development, managing yourself, managing your personal social development, managing money, managing relationships. I mean, how do you keep on top of all of these things with all the things that you're doing?
It's hard. I am a single parent. It's hard to manage all those different things and not feel guilty sometimes when I have to go away for work. Like this week, I go to Miami for a week because I have my new products being launched. I had the opportunity to pop up in West Elm, which is a big department store. So I'll be gone. They will be with their grandparents. And I feel that guilt, like, oh, I don't want to leave the children, but I have to. Managing money is a toss-up between reinvesting in the business, which is what I've always done, is to reinvest in the business, and paying myself. I need to get paid, but I haven't been paying myself because it's a constant putting into the business and making sure that the business thrives. Relationship, it's hard to have a relationship with the time that I don't have sometimes, because I'm running a business, I'm marketing myself because I'm a brand, then I have a brand of clothing. Yeah, I am the business. And it's hard to explain to somebody, hey, it'll be 3 weeks before I can see you, or whatever it is. So it's hard to date, but at some point in time, I have to go back into the dating pool. I have to be open to remarry. I want to have that significant other who's there to support me and my dreams and everything else. But in time it will come. A friend of mine, it was on my vision board, again, transparency, last year, but I had, a relationship in a small little corner on the side of my vision board. And my friend said to me, it wasn't a priority. That's why you never accomplished it. I said, that's the only thing I didn't accomplish in 2020. And I said, okay, so this year I said, okay, I'm going to put this out there that, this is my year, that this the person who I will meet, and hopefully when one day marry will come this year. If in December it comes, and I'm okay with it.
We'll agree with you. We'll agree with you on that.
Yes.
One. Yeah.
So it's being mindful of that, though. It's that you do need a partner in life, and it may be marriage that leads to, or just maybe lifelong partnership that you have. But you need that support system for you as a person, as a woman, that companionship. We're not meant to be alone. And it goes
back to the women who say, oh, I can't be bothered with men, I can't be bothered with this, I can't be bothered with whatever.
That's for
I'm
them.
not judging. I'm
And I
not judging.
haven't.
I don't know. I'm not judging. I'm just,
I know.
but
I'm not
sometimes
judging either.
some women do come off very aggressive. I'm
That,
strong. I'm okay. I can handle this. I make my own money. What's the song? The Independent.
yeah,
A
all the
little girl said,
independent. Yeah.
that kind of
Oh,
whichever way the song goes.
I am happy for them, and I have been that one who's worked through their career and was focused on career and my children and everything else. But my children are growing up. My children are about to leave the nest soon. The two will be gone, and I should have companionship. I should have someone to share my life with and be able to do these things. But we go back to the societal thing. Is it's like, oh, we can handle it all, and because we're career driven and because we can do this on our own, and we should. No, I want to be a damsel in distress in my tire flat and I not fix it sometime. But my father taught me to fix my tire. I can change oil, I can change tire, I can change the transmission, all
Good
that.
for you.
Listen,
I will start crying. That's why we have AA membership. That's why the RAC exists. That's why it's called Breakdown Cover Tommy.
Exactly. And I have those things too, because and that's been it. But I think, looking at my parents, my parents are divorced, but they have both remarried and had new relationships. And I look at how happy they are after
Yes.
all that. And I want that happiness. I want that special person to say, hey, this is my husband, this is my partner, and go through that, because we are not meant to carry this load alone. And I know some women will disagree with me, and I'm okay with you disagreeing with me, but at this stage in my life, at 43 years old.
No, you're speaking to you, and you're speaking your truth.
This is my truth. My transparency right now is that I've lived that life, been there, done that, and have stories to tell of being that independent woman. I've raised these children alone by myself, and that wasn't the plan to raise these children alone, but it happened, and I took on that role, and I went through it. And as you see, I've lived a very transparent life with my children. Being on social media these days, I don't put them on social media as much because they're older and they have to give me permission to post certain things, because they're 16. 12-year-old, I don't really post as much about him, just because my life has become a lot more public now. I try to not do that, but I have celebrated being a single parent and being very proud of being a single mother and raising my sons to where they are today.
Right.
So, but now it's come a time where I said, I am open to love. And that's just it.
Perfect. So you're, in terms of how do you keep going in terms of your personal social development, your own personal social development, how do you reinvent Tammy? What makes you go? Because in some instances, for me, what I tend to do is I do a new course. I look into something different, learn something new. I go do some volunteering. What do you do for yourself?
A lot of those things too. I try and go in and analyze where I am. I always do a SWOT analysis on my life. What are my opportunities? What are my weaknesses? And look into that. And one of the things that called me to do was looking for that love now, because that was a weakness of mine. It's changing my artwork. It's saying I don't want to be just that lane and just be known for this alone. It's how do I create new pieces and things that look different, put myself out there for new opportunities, go to new states, go to new conferences, look at things online, and try and develop myself. I'm known for changing my hair color very often.
Okay.
And I'm okay with that. Changing my hair.
And they always look great. They always look great, by the way.
Thank you. I have to call my grays, It's about doing that and taking time. For me, it's going to the ocean. That's how I keep myself sane too. One of the first things I will do when I get to Florida will be to go to the beach, because I need that vitamin D. I need the vitamin C, as they call it. But it's returning to my roots in a sense of water, because without water, we don't exist. None of us exist without water. So literally and figuratively, I need water and everything else. The biggest thing too is asking for feedback. Sometimes feedback can come in two ways, because sometimes people don't know how to give feedback.
Right.
But I'm always a proponent to say, what do you think about so-and-so? how do you feel? And having those trusted advisors. I have a friend of mine who's one of my trusted advisors, that I kind of run things through and run them by, like, hey, what do you think of so and so? Even though I have an idea of truly what it is. My pastor is also a person that I go to.
Right.
He tends to know when I'm not feeling up to scratch, and he'll call me, but it's also running things by him. What do you think about so and so?
Right.
I'm very close to my parents. So even those things. So from a social emotional development, for me, it's what makes Tammy happy. And I think I have to make sure that I am happy within me. We talked about the weight gain, and I had to embrace that. It's like, I've been the heaviest I've ever been in my life, but at the same time, I have to show
up you there. You're fluffy. You're built for comfort.
Exactly.
Fluffy.
I'll take that.
No weight gain around here. None. Yeah.
Listen.
Nice. And you get that cushion and you fluff it all up.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it.
That's us.
So that is embracing that, though. It's embracing the season I am in my life right now, and saying, even at that stage and at this weight, I'm going to look good. I'm going to put myself together,
right,
feel everything, and just be like, I'm going to show up, and this is it. And if you can't accept it as a viewer, then guess what? You can unfollow or not talk to me, whatever it is. But this is me. This is Tammy Gamlin.
Being comfortable in yourself.
And that's it.
So one last question, Tammy, before we go. I didn't want it to end. Mentoring.
It's a part 2.
Yes, it has to be there has to be a part 2.
Yes.
Of course, for those who are watching, I'm new to this. This is my first time. I don't even know what I'm doing, but I just really felt led to have this conversation, and Tammy was the first person who came to my mind. We're hoping that we'll have loads of people who can come on and share their thoughts with us, to encourage someone and to help someone get to where they need to be, give them the hints, the tips, the tools, like Tammy has done for us, as to how she has gotten there. Because it could just be that, you're talking to somebody, they might look at you and go, that's me, that's exactly me, I can see her in me. I never forgot that there was a little girl that I have a gap in my teeth. I think it's a common thing in my family, but nobody really talks about it. But I met a little girl, and I was talking to her, and she was just fixated at looking at me. And she said, and after a while, I couldn't understand why she was so fixated. Then she said, she just bursted out, "You're like me." So I said, "I'm like you." I'm trying to figure out. I mean, we're both black, but she's really little. Yeah. I'm just thinking, why is she thinking I don't even look like her? And she said, "You've got that space in your teeth too." And it was the first time in my life I'd have ever thought of it, because nobody discusses that in my family growing up. But because in her family she was the only person, and they made it obvious to her, she was searching and longing for us to feel normal and okay, until she found me and said, "Oh, I'm not the only person." So somebody could be watching thinking, I'm an artist too, like her. This is how I get to my happy place. You know what? If she can do it, I can. And this is where this thoughts came from. So our last question with the lovely Tammy Gamlin would be mentorship, because you have spoken about all the lovely people of that fine institution, and the one that you went to before you got to that fine institution. We're not going to call any names, Tammy. We're not calling any names. Yeah.
Okay.
That fine institution that helped your parents, your grandparents, that helped you to get on. How do you, so it's a lot of mentoring. We do a course here of mentoring. A lot of mentoring happen in your life, and you have clearly taken that on. What's the next thing? How do you give back? How do you then share this with the next generation?
I do. I have some mentees who are younger than me. I have a few that are probably the same age, but I do give back in that sense, because I didn't have, when it came to art, I did not have somebody who had been through this journey, who wanted to share. That's another thing too, who wanted to share their journey. So I have been very open and honest with people about my journey, about the failures that I have, because there was weeks I didn't make money. There were times where I wasn't making money. There were times that I wasn't selling my paintings, and
were there times people thought you didn't have a proper job? You need to go and
Exactly.
look a
Many
proper
times,
job.
still do,
Yeah. What are
still
you
do.
doing?
Like,
You need to look a proper job. This isn't gonna
it's
work.
like, you're an artist, so what else do you do? I'm an artist and a designer. So what do you do for your regular job?
Right.
Okay, I'm a CEO, I'm a creative director, I'm an artist, I'm a designer, I'm a visual consultant, I'm a businesswoman. How many other titles do you need? Yeah, I know, but what's the other thing that you do? How do you really make your money? I sell my work. And that's it. You know,
And
people
I'm
still,
sure,
we
and
will
no
still,
disrespect to any franchise out there, but I'm sure if you told them
yes,
a
please.
franchise name, oh, I work there, they go, oh, okay, I understand
Okay,
now. That's what you
yeah,
do. And it's really important that people understand that when people are stepping out into business, when it's a scary thing. It's a scary thing
it's
to
a very
decide that you're going
scary
to
thing.
run your own business and to actually, and that's why I like your She Believe, to believe in yourself, to know that you have these gifts and talents and abilities and
Mhm.
to actually use them. And then to be able to step out, because now 3Dream Designs is no different from any creative art company that's out there. You've got, if they've got a website, you've got a website. If they've got collection, you've got collection. You know,
Mhm.
they're selling, you're selling. Guess what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's it.
that's where it is. So I'm actually really happy that you are you're giving back. A part of what we do here at ECAF, we give back as well. And so we're always trying to link with individuals who give back, and to know that and I know because I grew up in that era, although I'm only confessing to being 16.
I'm 43 and owning it. I'm owning my 43. I just turned 43 and I'm a little bit older than you, but I'm owning it.
Okay, but I know being an artist back then, or even thinking, sometimes I'm even wondering
Oh.
about our art teacher. How did they convince their family that they were going to be an art teacher? And
Mhm.
I'm glad you were able to recognize that there's a gap here. There's a need for children to understand art, but also to be supported if that's the direction that they want to go in, and not be, looked upon or told that they're not going to accomplish it. They're not going to eat any food. They're going to starve, because what artist ever makes it, unless they're, one of those big people. But I'm really, really happy that you're doing all of that. We've talked to the lovely Tammy Gammon today of 3Dream Designs. She has a new piece out, a whole collection around mental health and well-being. And we're going to be looking at that and exploring that and having discussions with Tammy about, probably possibly doing pieces that we can highlight and hear and sell, because we've designed some masks and t-shirts and stuff.
Mhm.
Now that everybody's wearing a mask, we're allowed,
Yes.
all of that can be found in the link in the description of what we're doing as well. We want to remind people that though it's a pandemic, you can still dream, you can still live,
Yes.
you still have to put one foot forward and keep going. And it doesn't have to be the end of the world. And that's why I'm so happy to have had this discussion with you, Tammy. Thank you for coming. Is there anything else? Just one last thing you just want to tell us before we go?
Never quit your daydreams. Do not quit your daydreams. So keep dreaming, keep going forward, take that first step. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have a perfect business plan. You don't have to have a perfect product. You just have to have that dream, that vision that you have, that only you have, and start from there. And that one product or that one vision that you have can make the difference. But if you never start, then you'll never know.
Thank you so much. I know what I'm taking away from it, a vision board. I'm going to go make a big vision board,
Yes.
big, very big vision board. And I'm going to go have some trusted advisors, line them all up.
Mm-hmm.
You just watch what's going to happen. I'm going to make a WhatsApp group, trusted advisors, and add everybody in and say, listen, from now on, you're a trusted advisor, kind of.
And that's it. And build that business. This is so true. You think it's a joke, but it's building that and building your company with those trusted advisors. And I tell my girlfriends, I've given them all titles. I say, when I make it, this is going to be your title. This
So
is where
yes,
you're going to
yes,
be. And
yes.
have those conversations with your friends and make it that you're having a board meeting and you're having those conversations with your friends and your trusted advisors and different things. And not everybody's going to go on the journey with you, because not everybody's
No.
going to believe in it.
Yes.
But find those people who believe in you just as much as you believe in yourself,
So perfect.
and go from there.
And on that note,
Yes.
we say thank you so much, Tammy Gammon.
Thank you.
Thank you. The pleasure was all ours. All the best to you and your family, your new collection, your new line. You can check out all what Tammy is doing. She heard on our website, tamaragammon.com, but we're going to put everything down in the link. We want to thank you again and again. And if you know of a person who's been so persevering and trying, like Tammy, give us a call, talk to us. We'd love to hear what their thoughts are. We're going to keep encouraging, empowering lives and communities during the season with thoughts. So thank you again, Tammy Gammon. All the best.
Thank you. Look, talk to you soon. Bye.